All right, good morning, guys. Quick sound check. Let me know if you can hear me. Oh, yeah, I wasn't live yet. All right. Thank you, thank you. All right. Let's take a look at what we got going here today. We'll probably run a giveaway here a little bit later on as well. We got a couple accounts still left to give away. Carried over from last year, actually, and then a newer partnership that's also giving us a couple accounts to give away too. So that'll be fun as well. Joe said you're speaking my language. Have you used Take Profit Trader yet, Joe? I'll drop the link in there. In the past. So I did find some things out interesting. Whoa, that was moving. Regarding them and just the overall prop space, which I kind of, it's steering me towards them a bit. But yeah, we'll talk about that. It's not necessarily public information, so at least not yet, but should be. Should be. Soon. All right. I'm going to be pretty quiet today, I think. We had a decent day yesterday with that NASDAQ move. And overall today, we're getting a little bit of movement just now there in pre-market. We got about 45 seconds here till the bell. Like I said, I'm not super interested in a whole lot here. We've got light volume this morning, and I put all this in the morning write-up as well. We're at 120,000 contracts here now for the S&Ps, so nothing too crazy there. Individual names, I'm kind of mixed on. Amazon's probably one of my favorite swing-looking trades at the moment. And Tesla a little gap up. Gold and silver moving lower. So yeah, I think the game plan is still going to be to just let this first like kind of 30 minutes play out. If we do run really hard the first, kind of 30 minutes here into that news announcement, then I would potentially be interested in a counter trend trade on the Dow, maybe, but at the same time, that's also kind of difficult. So I'm going to let this develop a bit here. We don't really have any levels to work with. We kind of blew through those upper targets and stuff yesterday. So I think that's the main thing is we could realistically just use a nice rest day here. Let the markets kind of have a breather. And we're still not entirely like out of the woods yet in terms of this market maybe getting smoked. There's a couple of news announcements later on this week. And so we've got a couple things today at 10. Tomorrow we got unemployment. Excuse me. Tomorrow we got unemployment. And then Friday we've got a bunch of stuff there at 8:30 and then at 10. So that could realistically kind of set us up for something interesting. I'm also just looking at where we're at currently on the S&Ps, on the NASDAQ. If we look at like SPY, for example, You can kind of see this here. The SPY just popped up, made new highs yesterday, right? Or technically right now we're making new highs, 692.43s. Futures prices are a little bit off just from the overall roll. And then the Qs here are kind of lagging that. So we're actually, 15 points or so beneath those highs up at 637s. We're currently 622s, 623s, right? So there's a little bit of something happening there that isn't necessarily the norm, right? We've got a little bit more room to run in the IWM. We got a little bit more room to run in the DIA. Essentially, if it wants to, it can go wherever, right? It's already at those highs. So the NASDAQ being the laggard is the one that's like kind of keeping me at like a little bit of touch and go kind of situation, right? And we'll kind of see how that wants to unfold. But I think that's the bigger picture thing that we're kind of going to have to wait for, and what leads me to think maybe we rally early this week, like I put in the Sunday Stock Talk, and then potentially if we fail, then it's kind of an ugly situation. So I don't know if that's going to be the case or not yet, but at least one of the things in which I'm kind of watching for and at least taking into account. So as for markets here, a little pop out of the Dow and getting a bit of a pullback here. Not too crazy yet, but kind of expected with 3 days like straight up here. S&P is a little bit of a pullback. NASDAQ's the only market with a green bar here, a 5-minute chart. That is a bit interesting compared to the rest of the indices here. A bit interesting there. Let's see here. Gold getting a bit of movement. If you look at gold just from today alone, you would kind of be thinking maybe long. Open down there at 43s, currently printing 58s. So it's green on the day essentially, but red overall at the moment, about 40 points. Silver is kind of the opposite there. These moves in silver have been insane. $6 range so far on the day. One thing we could also see too, which maybe we're starting to see the kind of makings of that at the moment, is it kind of contradicts the things in which I just said, but we could see NASDAQ try and play catch up. And if that's the case, we see a little bit of weakness in Russell Dow, and then NASDAQ finds strength, which, again, in a very small window here over the last kind of 6 minutes, that's essentially what we've seen. Whether that continues to hold true or not is the question. S&P is kind of popping back up there now. A little bit of strength in Microsoft. Google with a nice run as well. NASDAQ fading back off about 30 points or so there while Dow gets a green bar. Basically flip-flopping the kind of idea from the first 5 minutes there. Gold getting smacked now. $47.50s. Russell new lows there now. If I was confident in the idea that NASDAQ was going to have a rally, yeah, I still don't love that. Never mind. What's up, Hassan? Thoughts on UPS? Let's take a look here. Russell so far only one making new lows. Google coming back with a vengeance here today. 314s to 320s now at the moment. I kind of like UPS. Bigger picture swing perspective. I mean, if you're looking at a weekly chart, it's like under 82s, it's kind of a problem. But essentially, you know, anything up over like 104s, 105s, got to go back to 220s, 230s. You know, under 82s, you're essentially done. I mean, you look at FedEx, though. FedEx has had a nice move. 200s up to 308s here in the last year. Last 8 months, give or take, realistically. The thing I was going to say down here at about 815s was if I was super confident in NASDAQ rallying, I would have been looking for that Russell divergent there to take for longs. Gold kind of came down just under those 47.50s, now getting a bit of a pop. I really like Amazon. I mentioned this yesterday, probably at like 235s, 236s, somewhere down in here. I think that chart looks really good. Yeah, turn it in a goodbye. NASDAQ getting the push now. Russell trying to come back up a little bit here. This is that light volume push. We are seeing S&P's NASDAQ getting some strength though. And Russell Dow just kind of chilling here. So I kind of don't mind that idea still. No, I really haven't been able to capture the Dow, which is kind of unfortunate. But we did catch a really nice move in NASDAQ yesterday. The Dow here, total range like over 1,000 points on the week. Yeah, 1,207 points. That's tough. That is tough, actually. S&P's NASDAQ kind of popping through yesterday's highs here now. We got that news at 10, so I'm still just going to chill, but I guess there isn't. There really isn't anything in NASDAQ for like a ways. $26 314s. Yeah, there's really nothing till 26 314s. So what is that, about 500 points from here, give or take? I would love to see that potentially next week. If we just kind of chill this week somewhere under like 25 900s, which is asking a lot for us not to really rally more than like another 50 points. We're also going to be getting into earnings season here relatively soon. So Alcoa here with a pretty decent move over the last 2 months, give or take now. Earnings kicking off the 22nd, so you still got 2 weeks left to go. Be the first move out of Netflix since the split, or first earnings out of Netflix since the split. Down new lows. The divergence in the Dow is kind of tough, but again, we're 15 minutes in front of that news announcement. It's 150 points back up to 876s. It's not bad. If you want a little bit of risk, you're talking 30-ish odd points, give or take. Lows are basically 697s. See if it doesn't turn right around and head back up. It's not terrible. I still think the better trade is probably after the news at 10. Russell might not get there. Russell new or S&Ps. Wow. Eventually I'll get it right. Dow new lows. Russell new lows. Mm, 12 minutes to go. Nasdaq getting a nice little pop here still. Total range on the day, 101 points already. Gold got that hard drop and then kind of rallying some of it back a little bit. S&P's fading just a little bit here. Nasdaq as well. Dow a little pop. I like the divergence in the Russell there a bit. I think that's maybe trying to say something here. The Dow still keeps wanting to push a little bit lower yet. Still got a little bit of time here before that news announcement. I don't know if we're going to see NASDAQ get down into 676s. That'd be about 200 points from here. I mean, if we did see that, then that probably negates the idea of thinking that we long from there. Yeah, IWM Russell still has a little bit more to go. S&P is a little 2-point front runner like that 7K number. A divergence in there on new lows. Dow continuing the pullback here. Russell trying to play a little catch up to the Dow. S&P's, NASDAQ pushing higher. So we are getting a little bit of that flip-flop that we kind of talked about compared from last Friday, where we saw the opposite of this. Is it a leader change, or do we see Russell Dow kind of come back here and take that over, becomes the question. NASDAQ certainly seems to think that it is the one. It's a tough call because I like the idea. It's 26,314 is that target above, which would be kind of crazy. It'd be a freaking 500-point rally from here. 450 points from right here. Let you go. Dow still continuing to push a little lower there yet. Got about 4 minutes here till that news announcement. You're talking the same level for Qs? You thinking calls? It's kind of skewed, but it would be it's not quite the same on closing. It'd be the 628 area. The technical level isn't there. The futures roll has a little bit of a different price to it, but that's essentially it. What, 5 points in, well, 4.5 points, give or take, or so in QQQ. Kind of looking like gold wants to rally back to 44.77s here. And if silver fights off this entire range and comes back, that would be impressive. Like impressive, impressive. NASDAQ new highs there. So far only market now. Getting a little rejection from it. I don't want to get super like biased on that idea that we go to 314s at the moment because we're not. We're not there at the moment. We got a minute and change left here. Gold kind of fading that now a bit. There's really nothing here in the Dow, unfortunately. All right, we got about 10, 15 seconds. Initial little push lower in the Russell. New lows in the Dow. We might get that new low in S&Ps. We'll move lower in gold as well. Again, like I said, I'm not super married to the idea that NASDAQ's going to make that rip today. Like the rest day could make a ton of sense, or it does make a ton of sense. But if S&Ps do make new lows, 84 quarters, an opening print is relatively close to there for that. Then I think we'd have something to work with there. Otherwise, we're essentially just trying to buy this downtrend in Russell Dow, which I don't necessarily want to do. There's room on this pullback to 25.65s for Russell. That's a bit of a move. It's in the right area. There's no technical level here or anything like that, but it is in the right area. I do agree with you on that. Let's see S&Ps get these new lows. $84 would be those lows. We're getting that now. S&P is printing 83.50s there. NASDAQ is holding. '84s. Opening print's 89. I'd prefer if that was a little bit closer, but it's a hard bar in the Russell. 8-point range so far, 5-minute chart. Doesn't really seem like it's done doing the thing here either. Alright, S&P is getting a little bit of a bounce here now. If you want cowboy white horse. I'm going to snag a little bit of NASDAQ here. I want to see S&Ps make one more new low. But somewhere right here around 840s, give or take, would be ideal. S&Ps might not make that new low. Russell and Dow just did. I have like 20% of position size on at the moment that I want. We did the thing in which I was anticipating, which was that we would, kind of come down, grab the new lows in S&Ps, not doing it in NASDAQ, and then potentially from here we rally to like 314. So it's like I can't not put this on. S&Ps are pushing back to opening print. We do have a divergence in the Russell and the Dow, which is there. I have a tiny piece on. 627s. I don't blame you for that. Part of me thinks there might be an additional kind of sweep of lows somewhere in here. It's probably in the Dow realistically. S&P sitting right on opening print. We didn't get a signal in the S&Ps, which would make it just a little bit better if we had. I'm gonna sit and wait for a minute. We're getting a decent little reaction here off the Russell and the Dow. Nasdaq trying to pop up there, but S&P is rejecting opening print so far. I have a tiny bit on, but Meta's getting rocked. Something wants new lows here. Nasdaq wants to pop, however. Is it S&Ps? Those lows are 83s. Russell down, new lows. Russell down, new lows. S&Ps was 3 ticks off there. I think you can have a little bit more NASDAQ on. If we get the new low, it'd be even better. Kind of looks like she wants to pop up to 880s there, get those new highs. Maybe run even further, but would it be ideal if we get the other 3 indices to at least stop selling off? They don't necessarily have to rally, just stop pushing lower here and try and rally for some. 83.75s for S&Ps. Still didn't get those new lows. Loving Oklahoma, a long black trail. S&Ps, if you could get the new low, that would be great. And then back over opening print, I think NASDAQ can rally. The problem with the Russell is we still got room down to 65.40s. Like the Russell could really, it could really do some maneuvering here. If it doesn't stop legitimately like here at 76s, there's a lot of room it could drop. All right, S&P's new lows. We're still in NASDAQ from like 41s. This Russell does not seem to care. NASDAQ back down here at 46s. I'm not going to add. This was not what I wanted to see out of S&Ps here. I wanted under 83s and then kind of back strong shoot to the upside, which it has not been able to do yet. We're just going to remain patient. Gold got smoked there. Ticks are kind of just dragging down. Yeah, kind of looking like it. It really comes down to whether or not NASDAQ can hold. I mean, at the end of the day, that's pretty much it. Like, if we can hold here in NASDAQ, then it doesn't really matter. We probably won't rally until the rest of the markets decide they're done doing whatever it is they're doing. Down about 10 points. Well, stops are down here like 810s. It's 30-point stop. We only have 20% of position size on at the moment, so I would like the add, but I'm also not going to add unless we get exactly what I want to see here, which hasn't happened. If we get S&Ps back over 83s, I think that's a different story. I'm halfway tempted to give it the failure to go lower type of dare it to go lower play, but that would not have worked in the Russell or the Dow at all today. So the question is, does it work in the S&Ps? Probably not until we get actually up where we need to be, which at this point now is better over opening print. Come on, NASDAQ. You can do it. Actually, it's kind of up to the rest of the markets at this point, but yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, we're in this spot where we can certainly kind of pivot and hold for NASDAQ, but everything else, it's a decent little reaction there out of S&Ps. Those lows were what, 83s? So 82 quarters. We still didn't make new overnight lows just yet. I don't want to be, well, I never want to be premature, but I don't want to be premature here in calling a low, but we're starting to look like we could. NASDAQ certainly has the strength on the day. When you look across the board, NASDAQ's up 31 points on the day. Everything else is slightly red, with the Russell being the weakest here, percentage change wise. And it's getting closer and closer to 2565s. It's just tough if it erases for basically the entire move from yesterday, which is essentially what it would do at 2565s. I'm going to sit and hold the little bit of NASDAQ I have on at the moment. If I felt a little bit more confident about that being the low, then I would add to the position, but I don't feel confident about that being the low just yet. So we were down 10, 15 points. We were up 20, 25 points. So now we're up about 10 points. We're sitting essentially break even one way or the other. And the big goal here is to see if we can't get potentially that push towards like even 26,000, 150 points from here would be nice. But realistically, if we do make that push to 26,314s, which I don't think happens today, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, especially if the rest of the indices decide to stop selling. There's some strong names like Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon even, but then there's weak names like Meta, Netflix, Apple. You could argue is either way. It's freaking cold in my office. It's supposed to hit 71 degrees here today, though. Ticker WDC, Western Digital. Interesting. That weekly chart is absolutely nuts. 25 bucks down here at Lowe's. 29 bucks down here at Lowe's. That's an impressive little bar out of the Russell there. And that one being the weakest market on the day now, would be great to see that kind of just pause on the selling pressure. S&Ps don't quite look ready yet. I don't know what to do with the WDC. That weekly chart's a little too out of my wheelhouse. This NASDAQ seems super undecided what it wants to do here. Well, I take that back. NASDAQ knows what it wants to do. It's the rest of the markets here that have not decided to play ball yet. S&Ps kind of act like they want new lows again. NASDAQ did just pop up to 860s. I'm gonna try a little S&Ps here. Stops under 79.50s. About 3 points here. And the lows are 78, so I'm cutting that off a little bit. But I like the 3 point stop for like 17 plus points worth of target. I don't mind the timing overall now. The 2 minute little higher low potential there on the S&Ps. First targets would be 89s, which is about 2.25 hours, 2.5 hours, give or take. NASDAQ wanting to push a little bit there. Might pop those highs here in NASDAQ. Trade 75, 75s there. Gold getting a decent little rally back as well. There's an aggressive high tick for the day at plus 200. It's our highest tick all morning outside of opening print push there. Let's see if NASDAQ first hour of the day is over. Let's see if we can't push up through these 880s and see if it'll move. Dow looks like it wants one more new low. If we get that and then it gets some buying pressure off that, I think we could see this push up through. There's that new low for the Dow. Push. Not yet. Not yet. Need another like 15, 20 points out of the Dow here. Dow doesn't seem to care. There we go. That's a better looking bottom out of the Dow there now. I'm going to go ahead and put the stamp of approval on that being the low a day in there. And let's see if we can't push this baby on up. 1032s. What if I talk like that all the time? NASDAQ new highs. 88 printed there for S&Ps. 89 is that opening print. Let's go ahead and see if we can't just push on up through here. By golly gosh, 88's 88's coda. NASDAQ new highs so far, only market to do so. I want to take some off here in the S&Ps, but I also kind of want to see if it wants to push up through opening print there. And we potentially just lock some in a little bit lower, give it the room. But it would need to do that relatively soon. Full-time traveler trader. Let's get a different voice changer with an accent for different countries across the globe, and that's my streaming voice for the day. We had a plus 400 tick there. 89's printing on S&Ps. I feel like it's the smart move to take some, but I kind of want to be a little bit, rebellious here. It's working. It's working so far. I'm going to look to take a very tiny piece of NASDAQ here in the 25,900s. So just took a little piece of that. Even though I don't have a ton, I kind of feel like I have to do a little something here. But I kind of want to take a little trip. My first targets for S&Ps were 89, but we're printing 9150s at the moment. The highs are 92s there. I feel like I should take a little bit of that too. I'll take a little bit of S&Ps as well there just to do it. We pushed about 2-ish, 3 points technically above target area there, so I'm kind of okay with that. So first target locked in about 9 points on that 3-point stop here for S&Ps. NASDAQ currently up about 55 points on our 30 points. So yeah, we were right at 2 Rs and we took that. So that made sense. All right, now we just chill. I'm debating if NASDAQ is going to fail being only market getting the breakout here. We'll just let it work now. See what happens. Russell's coming back pretty decent. That's also a positive here, 0.50%. It was down a little bit further, obviously. So I don't mind that. Let's let this thing see if it wants to move here. S&P is still 91s. I haven't traded yet this year, waiting till next week, but I just genuinely admire the patience and calmness you have for the game. Thank you. Thank you. Sometimes it doesn't seem that way in my head. It may look like it, but in my head, I'm still itching to push buttons just like everybody else. Nice Russell rally back. Whoa. Excuse me. Excuse me. What was that? Russell doesn't seem to care. Well, I'm glad I took a little bit off. S&P's new lows only market with a divergence. Russell does not seem to care. S&Ps are right back at opening print here. I think NASDAQ might reverse this and go back higher. Beijing suspended NVIDIA chip purchases. Okay. Russell Dow don't seem to care at all. S&P's NASDAQ does a little bit, obviously. I just screwed up charts though for the rest of the day. I guess to some degree I'm kind of glad I only have a partial position and took partial profit so far, because that little move was no fun. Part of me wants to close. The other part of me says don't. uh if NASDAQ does take these highs back, essentially back over like 870s, 880s, then I think we're fine. Like, I think we're probably more than fine. We probably rally to like 950s, maybe even more. Go ahead, NASDAQ. You know you want to. You know you want to. I don't think it's going to matter. The way NASDAQ's trading, I don't think it matters. I mean, we'll find out, but we did, however, get super close to those 810s for that stop loss. It could be. It could be Russell's year. Russell really didn't seem to care about that news. S&P's maybe trying to get back up through opening print here, 89s. See if we can't push like 925, 930s. Maybe even opening the 950s. Like I said, I don't think it mattered. I'm still partially like okay with the idea of 314s. Which is what? 400 points from here. That'd be a move. There's NASDAQ new high. Right back on track. Camo. S&Ps look good too. So that NASDAQ 15-minute bar that happened with the little gyration there was 91.5 points. So my thinking is that we can go 91.5 points from the upper end of that bar, which is like 902s. So I think we can probably see like 990s, 905s, or 990s, 995s, something like that. About 100 points, give or take, from here is my thinking on a target area for NASDAQ here. That's kind of the thing in which I'm thinking. Like 935s, 950s, somewhere up in there. We might start to be a little bit like, maybe we should take a little bit more. We'll see what happens when we get up there. Maybe. Maybe if we can make the move. Like I said, I think there's 100 points from here. If we capture another 50 of them, I'll be happy. Well, I'll just do a little rip ski to the upside instead. I do like to see NASDAQ pushing higher with a negative tick reading. Like that's a good sign. Again, these strong names, the Microsoft, the Amazon, the Google, Snow, they're all holding up fairly well here. Let's let those continue to kind of do their thing. We got 6-7 points in this. Stupid ass shit. A decent little pop in ticks there a minute ago. We did get those new highs. Russell looks good here. Dow's still kind of the laggard. It's okay. I mean, it made big moves already this week, so that weekly chart on Nasdaq's interesting. I guess it could see the move this week, but decides to start making moves. What's today? Wednesday? $10.58. I prefer if you could just make the move. Um, all right, I got pee real quick. I'll be right back. NASDAQ, 930s, somewhere up there, it'd be great. 5 minute, 1, 2, 3. I'll be right back. Un momento. All right, we're back. 926 print so far on highs. Kind of a boring day, but also not a bad day either at the same time. I mean, I'm kind of okay with it at the moment. Yeah, I mean, so far not a bad day. It took some time. That's pretty much the only thing. I'm debating if we take some here. I mean, anywhere up here around 925, I think is fine for a target. We're up about 80 points right now. It's about 3 Rs. See if we can't push just a little bit further here, but I'm down to start taking a little bit more profits here. And then probably what I'm going to end up doing is putting a trail under like 895s or so on the rest. If we get one more push, kind of up through 26s here, I'll go ahead and look to take some. And then we'll go ahead and trail the rest there under that 895s, give or take 897, but yeah. Empuje. Uno empuje, por favor. It'd be really surprising if S&Ps didn't trade up through 69.98 quarters at some point today. Is it like right now, or do we pull back to 89s first? That's kind of the question here, but I think we got one more push. One more push in NASDAQ first. We saw strength early on in the NASDAQ and weakness in the Russell and Dow, so it's kind of like the ideal scenario for that flip-flop action where NASDAQ and S&Ps kind of take the lead again. They rotate into that dominant spot there for rally, and we had the S&P divergence early on off that news announcement. So we kind of had like the makings of all the things we needed for that. Um, there's no technical levels or anything like that in here, but there is potentially the breakout on the weekly for the NASDAQ, which gave us room up into 314 as a target. And it was like, okay, there's legitimately 450 points worth of room. If this does want to move, it's like, okay, cool. Here's a divergence entry for about a 30-point stop loss. If we're going to move 450 points, like, I kind of can't not take that. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, I was just watching how they were trading with one another. The idea for a rest day makes complete sense, but the fact that how we traded kind of early on was, I didn't even want to say it at first because I was like, I don't know if that's going to be the case. But the more we started trading, the more NASDAQ started kind of rallying up there towards 850s, et cetera. It just looked like that was more of the scenario here, was a little bit of a leader change. And then just needed a divergence, some type of entry in order to participate. If we can get this next little 5-minute 1, 2, 3 here, and just keep pushing, that'd be great. And the fact that we shrugged off that Beijing news or whatever, it's like, all right, NASDAQ, it does want to go higher on the day. How much higher is the question? I mean, you could argue we're kind of there at the moment for at least a good piece of it. I'm kind of thinking it's got one more pop here still. Negative 147 on the ticks, and NASDAQ's actually starting to kind of pop a little bit here. Quick little push over 925 should get us up to like 930s, 935s. S&Ps might want that opening print first though. 91.89 would be that opening print. You can do it. You can do it. Oh, we did get 26 quarters, didn't we? You can do it. You can do it all night long. That's a girl. That's a good girl. Let's go. Uh-huh. 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 Just a little bit more. A little bit more. All right, I'm taking some NASDAQ there. And we'll put the rest, we'll put a stop in place. Let's call it 910. We'll give it this bar here. Sweet. Took a little bit more profit there on NASDAQ. And put a trail stop on the rest. Right there at about 910s. That is locked in. I still think we got a little bit more to go here, and I probably was a little bit early on that exit, but I am okay with it. Anything over like 923s, 925s here, I think is more than fine. I do think S&Ps want to try and get that opening print one more time here still, so we front ran it again there by another 2 points. So, but yeah, nice little trade there in NASDAQ. Like I said, there's room here. Realistically, like 25 990s. We kind of talked about 25 995s, and potentially a bit more there if we want to go to 314s. Ideally, we save that for tomorrow, or maybe even Friday, before we do that, so we could, you know, at least save a banger for us later in the week. But yeah, Nasdaq's up right now about 83 points, 84 points right in here, and I didn't get full position size, but I'm more than happy with it either way. So we also had that S&P scalp in there as well, which we got up into exits on that were 91, 90.50. We got 90.50s out of that. So yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Today seemed pretty textbook. What would you say? It was a little iffy there for a couple moments, I think, on a few things. But overall, yeah, I can't say it was bad. It just took a little bit of extra kind of awareness, not really doing anything and dicking off until 10 o'clock. Because you could have easily got in trouble. I think you could have easily got in trouble on that move lower, specifically in the Russell and the Dow. And then if you tried, which was the idea that I was thinking I might do, which was if we got back down to under 83s that one time in S&Ps, then that could have been a problem too. So, but otherwise, yeah, it was fairly decent. It was just slow. Yeah, those are just like me saying what I want to see happen, because it's like, you know, if market's gonna do this, then like it should do that type of thing. I'm just waiting for it to unfold. You know what I mean? But yeah, overall, I can't complain. Um, you guys want to run a quick giveaway? I'm done now for the day essentially here. If we trail under those 910s for the rest of NASDAQ, that'll be fine. We got some good exits here along the way. We took some profits at we took some profits right up into 25 900s. We took some profits here up into 923s. And now we're holding with trails at 910. So I'm cool with that. And then the S&Ps, we had a decent little push there. 8 points on a 3-point stop, so just shy of 3 Rs on that, which wasn't bad. And yeah, I'm cool with that. I am cool with that. All right, sweet. Let's run one. So with this one, I'm gonna do a take profit trader giveaway here. So I'll drop this link in the chat right here. If you don't already have an account with them, just go ahead, click that link and register for an account, because if you do win, then obviously you're gonna have to anyways. And if you're looking to potentially move from just trading prop accounts into trading live accounts with a prop firm, then at the moment, I think this is going to be, and again, I can't really say too much about it, but if your goal is to move off of sim funded and all of those things and move over to actual like live trading with the prop firms, then I think this is the one to do it with, and something that I'm working on as well. So I've known about Take Profit for years. They've been around, I want to say like 2013 maybe. Let me just double check. When did Take Profit Trader start? No, founded in 2021. Am I thinking of One Up Trader maybe? There was one that I remember from back in the day that was kind of like a rival to Top Step back in the day. I want to say that was maybe One Up Trader. One Up Trader start. When was One Up Trader started? 2016. And let me see, when was Top Step started? 2012. Yeah, okay. So 2012 for Top Step. By the way, I just trailed out of that last little bit of NASDAQ there at 9/10s. Wait a minute. Oh. I almost had a freak out for a second. I accidentally clicked and was watching further back in the live stream from Microsoft. When I had that on the screen, I was like, what is happening? But yeah, so click that link, set you guys up an account, and we'll go ahead and run a quick giveaway here in the old chatteroo. Free Take Profit Trader account. Permission everyone, timer duration, let's go 15 minutes. Free Take Profit Trader eval account. Boom. Gold making a really nice move there. Holy. Holy move. All right, exclamation raffle in the chat, and we'll go ahead and give away, I believe they gave me 50K test accounts. 50K test accounts. So we'll give one away, and yeah, we'll rock with it from there. Exclamation raffle in the chat. Nice exit on NASDAQ, guys. What an exit on NASDAQ. Nice little push there out of gold. Exclamation raffle in the chat. I gotta remember where I go to see this. Where do I go? Where do I go? Can I ask how I set my trailing stop limit? What do you mean? Like how to actually put it on the platform, or like where and why I do where I do the things I do? uh, I wanted to keep that going so bad, actually. Where and why? I have a couple different. I have a couple different ways in which to manage trades, and there's a full breakdown inside the mentorship on that, just from a pure trade management, risk management standpoint. Yesterday and today were pretty good examples, of that. We essentially were able to kind of capture the entire move for the most part, with just simple trails, right? So it comes down to a matter of risk versus reward to target for one. And then there's a couple other ways you can do. You can do bar trails, you can do pivot trails, things like that. And in order to kind of get that up to targets, or up as far as you can look to trail it, right? So there's a few different ways in which to do it. Some people do it based on like moving averages and stuff as well. That's not necessarily what I do. But yeah, there's a number of different ways to do it. For me, it's going to be one of those three, which is essentially always going to come down to a matter of whether the risk reward makes sense from there. Managing based on risk as you're in the trade. Have you taken the mentorship, Lindsay? You have not? You missing out, girl. You missing out. No, I mean that would. I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but it would clear up a lot of. Oh, there it is. It would clear up a lot of questions on that. You're a cheap ass. I mean, it costs you though, right? Like think about it. That trade just now in the Nasdaq today was good for a grand total of entries were 841s, exits were 923 and a quarter. So what is that? 82 points, 83 points. So yeah, I mean that's like $1,600 per one contract on Nasdaq, right? The 8 points we picked up in the S&Ps along the way, that's good for $400 per contract, right? So I don't know. kind of seems like a no-brainer, but Are you in the Discord? I can understand that. I've I've had the same, just the free part. Shoot me a DM. We can connect and kind of talk about it and answer any questions you might have and all that. But I've had a number of people essentially say like the same thing, like, "Oh, I'm waiting for a payout," blah blah blah. And it's like, at the end of the day, that's kind of like the wrong way of looking at it, right? It's like you want to try and get a payout to be able to then learn how to trade better, if you will, right? Um, but if you flip that, it's like if you learned how to trade first, right, or had these extra set of skills, right, extra things to look for, divergence levels, etc. Then wouldn't it make that easier to get the payout? You know what I mean? So it's kind of a, if you flip it the other way, it makes more sense. Yeah, got to get the skills before you get the payout. The Russell does look pretty decent. By the way, exclamation raffle in the chat. There's about 6 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Like half of you guys are entered to win. By the way, there is a PayPal credit option too, where you can do 6 months on mentorship. So you don't necessarily have to come all out of pocket today for it, essentially. Yeah, for sure. Mm, yeah, I don't blame you on that one. We did get that pullback just now to opening print there for S&Ps, which makes sense. 2 minutes to go here. I'm done for the day, but nice move there in gold, and I kind of like Hassan's idea there on the Russell. You could also look to be long S&Ps off opening print there. We are coming back off that now. But yeah, exclamation raffle in the chat. I don't feel like enough of you guys are taking advantage of that at the moment. Exclamation raffle in the chat. You got 1:25 left to go. He said up 100%. That was quick. Correction. You're up 90, I'm up 10. 10% kickback to the big man, remember? That was the that was the rule. Correction, it took 5 years to feel quick. Yeah. For sure. Ooh. I like this truck. 14 seconds to go here. Exclamation raffle in the chat. And no, I'm flat. I am flat. All right, here we go. Let's pick a winner. A drum roll, please. Fabricio Cheknaba has won. That's a hell of a name right there. Let me know if you're in the chat. Let me know if you're in the chat. Should we set a timer? Should we set a timer? Hey, Google. This one doesn't like to do the thing. You're getting a couple extra seconds there. Oh, there you are. Congrats, dude. Congrats. Hit me up, shoot me a DM in Discord so I can get you all set up. Yeah, you won. You did indeed. You did indeed. You in the Discord? If not, I can drop the link for the free Discord. There you guys go. If you're not in the Discord, you can jump in the free section of the Discord there. But yeah, shoot me a DM on there, and I'll get you all set up. I want to make sure you're good before. Yeah, you won, dude. Yeah, you're welcome. You welcome. Well, hit me up in Discord, dude. You'd be shocked to know. I just saw your post, ZV. The Russell divergence is looking nice. I remember calling that out down there, and then when we got this new low over here at 10:30 in the Dow, I was calling for the low a day to be in there. So yeah, Russell looks good. I like it. You and Hassan are long that at the moment. Um, just join the Discord and then shoot me a DM. Yeah, just in the free Discord. Or if you're already in the Discord, just shoot me a DM. That's the only way I can hit you back once I close out the live. So that's just why I need you to do that. I'm watching and waiting for a DM. The market's coming back up there. We probably should have rebought the S&Ps. They're off 89s. Russell looking good too. Total range on the day for the Russell, 28.9 points. That's a move. That's a move. You DM me? Sweet. I hit you back. All right. Hassan, what are you up right now? So what's the percentage there? S&P's made that nice 10-point push there off 89's opening print, 210% on IWM. Nice. Good work. 230% in Qs. You killing it. I'm kind of kicking myself for looking at this and not stepping back in. It made too much sense, but nonetheless. I'm up 3 hours on next day Qs. I don't feel like a son when I grow up. You and me both, bro. You and me both. Didn't you hit did you hit 1,000% yesterday? Did I see that right? Nice, dude. Good work. Good work. Could have been 3,000%. That's crazy. NASDAQ is making that move there. 25,960s. Nice rally. Nice rally. 0.03 to $1.12. Those are movers. Those are movers. I'm looking at this, kind of kicking myself now. Another like 60, 70 points there in NASDAQ to be had off that pullback. Dow is the laggard here again today. Or not again today, but still. Russell finally did come back. It's about unchanged now on the day. So the only thing red on the day at the moment is the Dow. Oh, you took that NASDAQ pullback? Nice. I kind of checked out after that morning, but definitely could have been a little bit more aggressive on that. I can't complain though. I'm not gonna complain actually. All right, well, sweet. I think that's gonna do it for me today. 11:49 here, just in front of 12 o'clock. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Kind of a low attendance viewership rating for the new year compared to when we were doing these just a couple weeks ago before Christmas. I'm not quite sure where everybody went, but we'll get it back up there and keep them running. So far nice back-to-back days. NASDAQ has treated us well, and yeah, I think we might have a market for tomorrow. Yeah, we did. We hit 7K. We did indeed. They tried to shake everybody out there on that little push down to 810s for NASDAQ there. But all right, that's what I got. Appreciate you guys as always. It was a fun stream. It's kind of slow, low key, but I'll take it. 2 hours and 30 minutes, and made ourselves a decent little bag. So low stress movement here so far. Light volume day still again. Ticks are just essentially nowhere. 564,000 contracts for S&Ps is absolutely virtually nothing. We do have earnings coming up. We talked about that a little bit in just a couple weeks here. So like 2.5-ish weeks, give or take, for earnings to kind of kick off. So we'll see if we kind of like just drift higher into earnings and like into the first part of the new year. It kind of seems to be the case so far. But yeah, I'm looking forward to if this is going to be the trend and the things in which we see is just kind of a leadership change between the Russell and the Dow back over to S&Ps and NASDAQ and stuff. I'm really looking forward to that type of trading for 2026. Like if that is the case, then there's going to be a nice 400, 500, 600 point NASDAQ move that we're able to capture, and especially if the earnings go the way in which the charts kind of seem that they're looking like at the moment. So I don't want to get too excited about that at the moment, but I'm liking the action so far. I've enjoyed the break over Christmas and New Year's and all that, but definitely happy to be back. And yeah, that's what I got. So thank you guys as always, and I will see you guys tomorrow.